Okay, so I finally got into the most requested video throughout this entire lock series, the best 5 winger weapons. Now before I go ahead and get into this video, I just want to say thank you guys so much for the support on the last video and the ones before that. Honestly, it means a ton and the support really does inspire me to make more videos. So if you're someone who enjoys my videos on the regular, or you find yourself coming back for some info on the game, then be sure to like and subscribe so I can continue to make these videos for you guys. Now with all that being said, let's go ahead and get into the video. So finding the best winger weapon for you is probably the easiest out of every single position, and the reason that is mainly because there are really only 3 great weapons for wingers. And if you're not using the best 3, you got to be really good with the others, so just keep that in mind when you guys are listening to this list. Alright, so for our first winger weapon, our number 5, we have Kunigami. So Kuni's one of those weapons where you got to be very skilled to utilize it to its fullest, which is why I have it so low. But if you're a player who's experienced and has some good field IQ, you can really use this weapon to make great opportunities for yourself and your teammates. For example, with Kunigami, you can do crazy passes throughout the entire field with pretty much no cooldown. I think it's 25 seconds. And if you're doing it consistently enough, then space will automatically open throughout the field because your smaller players will be able to run right past the 6'3 defenders marking them, and the 6'3 defenders that are being marked have a little more room to work with because they're not being guarded by like 3 defenders. And that's just like the, potential of this weapon for playmaking. For the actual attacking uses of this weapon is what really takes the skill, but it actually rewards you a lot. Like you can use Kunigami as a direct shot outside the box. You can also use it to take shots at the goal in order for your teammates to get a rebound. And the most effective way of using it would be second touching off your teammate or defender, which is pretty much shooting off a steal for an unpredictable shot. So if you're someone who wants to fully master this weapon as a winger, pay attention to how the shot actually works and the perfect timing necessary to attack with it. So yeah, even though earlier in the video I said that the best 3 weapons kind of have a huge gap between the bottom 2, you can very easily close that gap if you master Kunigami. So yeah, just keep that in mind as well. Okay, so we are finally on to our number 4 winger weapon, and that weapon is Nagi. So I'm just going to say this now, Nagi is 10 times better to use as a striker rather than using it on the wing, but it's still a pretty good winger weapon. I say this because if you play your cards correctly, you can guarantee to get down the field without too much difficulty, regardless if you're good at the game or not. Like, you can throw someone who literally just started today on a 6'3 Bunnies Nagi build, and they could turn to a great player within an hour, like not even kidding you. But yeah, the reason Nagi is a really good winger weapon though is you can get down the field really easy. Like you can just chest trap all the way down the field, and when you start fatiguing, you can use Nagi to either cross it or take a shot for yourself. And if you're familiar with the Nagi timing, which once again isn't hard, you just lob it and jump and press R. But yeah, once you're familiar with the timing, you pretty much have a unblockable shot or an unblockable pass, unless obviously there's a serpent there. But if you're using it to cross to a teammate, they're not going to use the serpent unless like they're just that desperate. But yeah. And one more thing, actually, like you honestly don't really need to shoot it every time with Nagi. You can really just abuse the iframes the weapon gives you and dribble right off the Nagi. And pretty much how you do that is once you press R, instead of shooting or passing, you just let the ball go down and you just spam click, and it'll actually give you iframes, which means nobody can steal the ball for a short amount of time. So yeah, that's really good, especially if you want to fake out defenders. So honestly, if you're just starting the game or you're not really too good with the controls and you're just like a casual who wants to kind of get better at the game real quickly, I definitely recommend using this weapon in this build, 6'3 Nagi's Bunnies. It could take you really far. Alright, so that's it for number 4. We finally cracked the top 3 winger weapons, and if you guys made it this far, be sure to comment below what weapon you ended up using if you used any from this list, and yeah, just let me know how you like it. Anyways, for our number 3 weapon, we have the one and only Chri. So when most people think of a winger weapon, the first one that comes to mind is Chri, and the reason why that is because it's pretty much the ideal winger weapon. With Chri, you could pretty much take the ball down the field by yourself without having to like lift the ball or anything crazy like that. Like you can literally just M1 dribble all the way down. And on top of that, the speed that the weapon gives you will naturally like create an opening for your midfielder to give you a through ball or even a pass to like another open teammate, because you might get double marked if you're just running around the field free. But the main reason why Chri is considered like the ideal winger weapon or like one of the best is because it's honestly the best support like winger weapon on this list. Because like I said earlier, all you got to do to set up your teammates is just M1 dribble all the way down the field and just cross it. Literally, that's it. But if you want to use this weapon for more of like attacking instead of more of a support role, then you'd kind of have to learn how to dribble. Because even though like you're fast with Chri, you still got to learn how to dribble if you want to take on multiple like opponents like a lot. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Okay, y'all, so we have gotten to the top 2 winger weapons, and to just kick this off, we have Emperor at number 2. So in most cases, I'd 100% put Emperor at number 1 because I've always thought of it as the most reliable winger weapon in the game, the most reliable attacker weapon in general. But as I played the game more, I changed my opinion, and I feel like there's actually a weapon better than Emperor when it comes to scoring, but that's actually at number 1. So yeah, honestly, Emperor is just, I think it's more of a striker weapon than anything, kind of similar to Nagi, because on the wing, your shots are actually a little more blockable, and your shot course is a little more predictable on the wing because there's only really 2 places you can go when shooting with Emp on the wing. But even though it has its negatives, let's still not take away from the fact that it did make it to number 2. Because if you're 5'3" or just a small Emperor build in general on the wing, you can easily get good opportunities. Because you all know Emperor, like as soon as you get within a certain range, it's an instant goal. And on top of that, Emperor is a very easy weapon to use. Like it has no extra steps. You don't have to play a specific way with it. It's pretty straightforward. You press R, you get a really fast shot. And even though it's a simple weapon, the skill roof is pretty high. Like all you got to do to like up your skill level with this weapon is 1, learn how to dribble in air, and 2, just know when and when not to shoot. That's it. But yeah, that kind of wraps it up for Emperor. Okay, so we're finally at the number 1, the best winger weapon in the game. And when it comes to the winger position, I'm going to have to give this spot to Formless. Like the more and more competitive locked I play, I start to feel like Formless is honestly the ultimate weapon if used correctly. Yes, the skill required is kind of crazy. Like you have to learn 180s, you have to learn like it's a bunch of stuff you got to learn to actually hit your Formlesses consistently. But once you do learn Formless, it's literally unblockable. Like by an autos GK, a real GK, any GK in the game, they cannot block like every single Formless. Like you can block an Emp, but not a Formless. It's just way too powerful, especially if you're using like a height above 5'10". But the greatest thing about this weapon isn't just the shot, it's actually the fact that the skill roof is really high. Like depending on how you practice with the weapon, your range with Formless is literally the entire field. Like your entire field half is like a shot opportunity for Formless as long as you're tall. And even though it will take like a lot of practice and it might be difficult, it'll be worth it at the end of the day. Like no GKs will be safe if you're, practicing constantly with Formless and you're able to hit it all around the field. But in a winger's case, you really only have to get good at one side. And the shot and, all the skill potential with the Formless shot itself isn't the only thing Formless has. It also has a passive drag and drive. And with drag and drive, you can take shots at goals. You can do very powerful crosses regardless of your height. But like if you're going to use drag and drive to cross, you should probably like slide and then jump off the slide if you guys know what I'm talking about. Or else you're probably going to get the ball stolen if you just fling it up in the air and then M2 shoot it. But I mean, yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say about Formless. It's like I know I said Chri is like the ideal weapon for a winger, but if you know how to use Formless correctly, Formless definitely takes that spot with ease, no question. But yeah, with that being said, that's about it for today's video. Once again, let me know in the comments what weapon you guys picked, if you picked one from this list. Let me know if you have any opinions on, any of the placements, like if you would change anything, if you'd add anything, all that good stuff. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.